season in the NBA. The Denver Nuggets are going to the NBA Finals, and they take out the Lakers in a 4-game sweep.
It's their 47th season in the NBA. Knicks haven't won a finals in 50 years. Anyway, I digress, because at least they made the finals. Jokic had 30, 14, and 13 assists. Nuggets advanced to the NBA Finals for the first time, sweeping the Western Conference Finals. 113-111 win over the Lakers. After the game, LeBron James ended his news conference by telling reporters that, quote, going forward with the game of basketball, I've got a lot to think about. Tune in tonight for Game 4 of the NBA Eastern Conference.
Bring it! Had a good
fresh and so clean.
What's up, Monica?
Hi, Key.
What's up, Mon?
Hi, Jay.
You heard the sound coming in. LeBron talked about it's frustrating because they were in every game, right? Like they were in every game, but not in the series in a weird way. What was your reaction to them being swept, though? The Lakers being swept?
The Nuggets are really good. It's my first reaction, honestly. And I know that the Lakers drive conversations, and that conversation or that conversation starter is always going to be the Lakers end. But, like, the Nuggets are really good, y'all. Like, 1 through 8, 9, 10. I mean, they got production. They had a deep roster. They've got versatile guys. They play both sides of the basketball. Like, the Nuggets are really, really good. And for as inspiring, if we want to use that word, the Lakers were post-trade deadline with this new roster, it still had some holes. And I don't think that they should be hanging their head in terms of what they did in this season's totality, considering where it started. They got to the conference finals. That is impressive considering where it started, but the Nuggets are really, really good.
Yeah. See, Mike, I was with you. I said the season was a success overall, thinking about, and there's still moves and things, but the Lakers are exponentially closer to winning a championship than what they were 3.5, 4 months ago. No doubt about it. What do you make about LeBron? He never mentioned the word retire, but actually just having time to think about basketball.
Honestly, Jay, my first reaction was, are you not entertained? Like, I watched House Party on a flight over the weekend. Pretty hysterical. And LeBron knows, we know, and he knows how to use that dais to put pressure on the Lakers, right? I think the biggest thing to me that came out of that conversation is that he's not interested in just getting to conference finals. And so it's back on Rob, and he even said it at one point. I can't remember who asked the question. They were talking about the continuity of this roster moving forward, and he is literally sitting on the desk going through who, to his knowledge, is under contract long term. It's basically him, AD, and I forget the gentleman's name. That's sort of a bench guy. So, like, the roster could look different, but I think, to me, bigger than I got to think about coming back, which is fair. It's 20 years in, year 38, a taxing conference finals run. I will give him the space to do that. But the bigger soundbite to me was, I'm not interested in just getting to conference finals. And so, again, pressure on you, Lakers. How do we improve so that I'm in a position to play basketball in a meaningful way, which matters to me?
I pass it to you, Jay. Go.
Well, so what do you think that is with, Monica? Like, if we're moving forward, I said earlier, I'm not saying I would do anything at all. I'm not saying I would trade him. I would entertain or just take calls on AD, though. I would just take calls. I would listen. Not saying I'm going to do anything. But you do have pieces like Rui, Austin Reeves, who has a new contract coming up. The one thing it feels like this team is missing is a dynamic playmaker or scorer. The name Kyrie Irving just keeps floating around my head, Monica. I've seen him sit courtside at 2 games. Like, could that be a sign and trade with, a team like the Dallas Mavericks for a guy like Kyrie Irving? What do you see?
Well, I had the privilege of sitting with our guys that are in the weeds of all this across the studio on Get Up. And Wendy and Zach Lowe also pointed out that Fred VanVleet is a name that comes up, right? And that when you really look at it, the money in terms of what the Lakers can offer Kyrie is going to be far less than the max that he wanted that caused him to leave Brooklyn. But really, it's kind of this idea of the money or Rui Hachimura, which if you can get a guy like Kyrie, listen, I know folks have the sentiment buyer beware, and there's a lot of off-the-court stuff. And maybe I'm naive to believe.
He won it with LeBron, Monica. He won it with LeBron.
Maybe I'm naive to believe that there's something a little bit different about these two reuniting, because Kyrie now has had ample opportunity in multiple cities to understand just how heavy the crown is in terms of heavy is the head that wears the crown, right? And so I am I candidly, I'm with that. I think that there's something about these two potentially that would be unique. If you can keep, Jay, AD, Kyrie, and Bron together, it's LA, it's playing with Bron. We really don't think they can fill out the rest of that roster to make it serviceable to get back into a position in a West where I guess the perceived dominant team right now would be the Nuggets who look to stand pat. And if you buy that the Kings are ready to take some sort of leap. But other than that, it's not as if they could not be one of the upper echelon teams in the West if you have those three guys.
I love Austin Reeves and Hachimura, especially Austin Reeves, man. That dude,
he's a gamer.
But come on, man. Come on. Like, let's get realistic.
Right?
I mean, it's not disrespectful.
It's levels.
Also, just in terms of what a LeBron-AD combo needs, Kyrie is exactly it in terms of the style of play. All right, Monica, let's get back to the Joker for a second. You know, in the bubble, he did not play up to his normal level against the Lakers after they'd come back on the Clippers, the Nuggets, right? But then he got better than that after the bubble. But the rest of the team was hurt. And the whole question was, how good could this team be in these playoffs healthy?
Yep.
Could Jokic stay his MVP self? And could Jamal Murray repeat that clutch playoff performance? And, man, the answer is yes. Like, can these guys be stopped?
I am having a hard time figuring it out, right? And, like, on the East, you bet against Jimmy Butler since Giannis came back to play, right? And we've all been proven wrong. But I just look at this looming matchup potentially. And matter of fact, let's just go. Maybe the Celtics do come back, right? Like, who knows?
Nah.
Right. Unlikely. But just in terms of stopping Denver, you got to be able to stop that dude right there. And that would be Nikola Jokic in my mind. And I don't know who, as a defender, is not even skilled enough to stop him flat out, but to slow him or disrupt him significantly enough to disrupt what the Nuggets do. He's just so versatile. He keeps you off balance. He's a mismatch nightmare if you want to go there. Like, pick your poison, facilitator or playmaker. Oh, by the way, he's going to kill you on the glass.
They got a 6'10" guy who could shoot the lights out.
Right?
Hey, Monica, what about this? Do you know what player I'm describing? The only player in the history of the conference finals to average 30 points on 50, 40, 90?
One of the old heads, I think.
No.
Who?
Jamal Murray just did it.
Oh.
That's his crime partner. That's the dude. Like, he's running with a guy right now that just did that.
Yeah.
Yo, Monica, can I when Miami completes the deal against Boston, the matchups they're pretty dope because Jimmy's going to take Jamal. That's going to be personal.
Come on, let's go here, Jay. Come on, keep going.
And then Bam is going to have I'm not saying Bam is going to be able to handle the physicality of Jokic, but I do trust in some of the schemes that Eric Spoelstra will try to draw up around it. There's more firepower, I think, by Denver, but like once again, like I don't know. Like it's a better matchup than I think the Lakers actually had as it relates to a matchup because the pieces are interchangeable. Michael Porter don't really dominate you like that on the board. He shoots threes. KCP's a good defender, but he roams on the perimeter. And between Gabe Vincent and Max Strus and Kyle Lowry, the matchups actually it sets up for a great NBA final.
All right, so Jay, let's do this because I'm also wildly disappointed at the amount of the conversation about how nobody will watch Miami-Denver. I'm with you, Jay. Like, I'm like, okay, let's get it. I got you on those three, right? Or let's just go with Jimmy and Bam being versatile. To me, the outliers that favor the Nuggets are going to be Aaron Gordon, and when I look at that bench unit, it's going to be Bruce Brown and Jeff Green.
Yep.
Because to me, as good as the Heat have been, they start getting into their bench, and Kyle Lowry's been really good with that second unit, but it's kind of the Kyle Lowry show. So now you put Kyle Lowry and Bruce Brown, like while Kyle is one of the most savviest defenders and comes up with charges and blocks and deflections and the whole bit, like that to me is going to be a little bit more of a taxing matchup than anything he had to deal with, than what he's had to deal with, quite frankly, since in the Celtics series. And then I look at the second unit guys that he kind of runs with, like Cody Zeller, So to me, Gordon, Green,
how about Tyler
Bruce
Hero
Brown.
if he comes back?
Oh, that's a good point. What kind of conditioning is he in? I guess he's got a upper body injury, so he should have been running and been in shape.
He better be. I mean, with their whole body fat thing they got going on in Miami, I guarantee you he's been running.
That could be interesting, but I do wonder. There's something to be said for the rhythm of the playoffs, right? Like you jump back in the finals. Wow, go. go Tyler.
Yeah. I mean, I still have Denver favored. I'm with you though. I'm just saying the matchups. It's different. I don't know. It's a different feel than what Denver has had to play against.
I just think though. I think AD played really well defensively throughout the playoffs and in this series. And I think what we saw that maybe we hadn't had a chance to really digest during the regular season is just how difficult it is to cover Nikola Jokic. Bam, to me, has not gotten the credit that he deserves since, like, Game 5 of the Knicks series. He's been terrific, right? But I still think, again, the way Jokic plays in terms of keeping folks off balance, and perhaps Bam crushes Jokic at the rim, right? Maybe that's the counter. But I just think that's a whole lot of movement and attentiveness. I'm excited. I'm with you. Spo's going to coach up some great things, though.
And the Joker's game is also facilitating.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really shut that down. He does too many things to shut it all down. Monica, before we let you go quickly, we were talking about it earlier. Jimmy Butler would have an enormous amount to gain if they win the finals, because presumably he'd be finals MVP. He would have upset the odds again. And I think he'd be the best player in basketball. You could lose me with everybody else. That's the best player.
Okay.
If that dude does that, I don't care what his reputation. That's the best player in basketball.
Okay.
A huge amount to gain, right?